everybody. Welcome back to Redditor Radio, episode 640, coming to you on Monday, January 5th. We're going to look back a little bit at the Alamo Bowl with a big mailbag, but this episode is all about the beginning of the offseason. The transfer portal is here. There's still some rumblings and talk about who could be USC's defensive coordinator, and so much more. As always, you can follow us on social media at Reign of Troy. Email us, reignoftroy@fansided.com, and our phone number, 818-643-7227, Second Woodsboro Show. I'm your host, Michael Castillo, journalist, my co-host, here in the Reign of Troy studio, powered by Fansided. Alicia Deratola.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. We are back. First episode of 2026. That's weird, right?
It's weird. It is very weird. It will take me about 6 months to get used to writing 2026.
We don't write anymore.
Like typing it out.
Oh, that's a good point.
Things. Or like looking at the best coaches in the Big Ten for 2026.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, it's crazy that we're this far removed from like we're this far into the decade, this far removed from COVID, sort of. COVID feels both like yesterday and like 8 million centuries ago. But like, I always look at like the difference between this and this is the difference between that and that. Like, the difference between 2026 and 2004, when SC won their last national championship, is the difference between the year we were born, 89, and 1967. Which seems crazy.
Like the
right?
oldies that I listened to growing up in the 90s, if oldies stations were playing early 2000s songs, I might die.
This of course reminds me of the joke that I heard on The Rest is Just Science, which was if Jesus was born 20 years earlier, later, then NSYNC would be the biggest band of the 70s. It really makes you wonder.
If he was born 20 years earlier.
No, later.
Earlier. Because we have to move the 20 years back.
Whatever. Either way, yes. Anyways, let's just dive in to the news, shall we? I don't have the news thing on the board anymore. Anyways, All right, at least let's get into the news. Talk about defensive coordinator updates. SC, of course, without a defensive coordinator, Danton Lynn has moved on to Happy Valley. He's going to be the defensive coordinator of the Penn State Nittany Lions, his alma mater. USC will play at Penn State at some point this upcoming season. We still don't have the Big Ten schedule. I feel like it's coming out this week.
It's got to be soon.
It's got to be. It's late, and one of the reasons it's been speculated to be late was because of the Notre Dame thing, that they don't have to account for the Notre Dame game in SC's schedule anymore. Mm-hmm. And so maybe that was the reason why it hasn't been out. I don't know. Either way, SC's going to play Penn State, and Danton Lynn is at Penn State. USC without a defensive coordinator. Let's talk about the names that have been bantied about. Of course, Pete Kwiatkowski is the name that has been out there a lot. He's the guy that I think you and I both think should be USC's next defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. He was at Washington under Chris Peterson. He was really damn good there. He went to Texas with Sark, and he's been really damn good there. But for some reason, they gave him the axe and sacked him in Austin a month ago, and he's a prime candidate for what SC should want to do, except the new news is that, I think this was from Bruce Feldman, that Pete Kwiatkowski is a, quote, strong candidate for the Stanford job. Of course, this raises the question, what does a strong candidate mean? Does this mean someone who is interviewing and potentially, are they drafting up contracts? Or does this just mean someone Stanford would like? I don't know. Because of course they should like Pete Kwiatkowski, right?
When Bruce Feldman tweets that, to me, that's a... He's on the verge of becoming the Stanford DC. Feldman is one of those reporters that when they say something is close to happening or interested in happening, it's true. He's the voice of God. So, that's. I'm assuming he will take the DC job at Stanford, which is very strange.
I don't get it.
I mean, okay, Andrew Luck is the GM there, so maybe and maybe Stanford is willing to invest more than they have in the past. Mm-hmm. Maybe they've given him a big offer, but it feels like Stanford can't possibly offer more than USC could offer, considering they were already paying their defensive coordinator to be as like the number 4 or 3 defensive coordinator in the country in terms of payment. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, unless I think there are 2 possibilities, neither of them good, and then there's a third possibility that is blatant speculation. But the first is that Pete Kwiatkowski is skeptical of Lincoln Riley as a head coach and doesn't believe that Lincoln Riley can field a good defense and therefore is looking elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Or USC is not interested in hiring Pete Kwiatkowski and have somebody else on the line, a bigger fish on the line. The third speculation thing, which I don't want to view as speculation, but we do know that PK got fired from Texas, and it's interesting to me that Stanford is the apparent landing place at this point, because given his track record, he could certainly do much better than Stanford. So is there potentially more to that Texas firing than we realized, or no? Sometimes you take guys off your list for reasons beyond what they produce as far as being a DC. So that's certainly I mean, there's no evidence to suggest that.
There's no reason to think that's the case,
except that he did get fired and no one understands why. So but it's a really, really big miss if USC doesn't have a better candidate on the line, then this may go down as one of the biggest whiffs in USC history as far as trying to hire, having somebody available to be hired and then not getting them. I'm going to throw out some ideas here. One is the Stanford thing leverage. Maybe from Kwiatkowski's camp. It could be. And if that's the case, would Feldman see through that to the point where, like, he could read why it's being talked about among sources and therefore weed out the validity of that? If it wasn't Feldman, sure, I would be open to that possibility. Okay. But Feldman saying this and not mentioning USC is another option. Feldman isn't Fabrizio. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah, I think that I and the other thought I had here is, like, you talk about whether or not that this he thinks it's a Lincoln Riley thing. I wonder if it's a USC defensive coordinator thing, because, like, every USC defensive coordinator has, like, not lived up to the expectations that people have expected, even before Lincoln Riley. Like, he had a conversation with Justin Wilcox. Took over for Wilcox at UW, right? Yeah. So, like, he knows Justin Wilcox. He's coached against Justin Wilcox, all that kind of stuff. So, like, maybe he knows that track record. The other thing is, like, I don't get the Stanford thing in the sense of, like, if SC is not where you want to go, then take a sabbatical. Like, I don't see the Stanford thing unless you are such a grinder. Like, you got to coach. It's in your blood. You got to do something. And then, okay, you're going to take the Stanford job. I just think, like, Stanford, and this kills me to say this, it's like it's a black hole for college football right now.
Is it not?
Yeah. I mean, this is why I bring up Andrew Luck, because, like, maybe if you really buy into the infrastructure that they have in place, then you are, along for that particular ride.
Yeah.
It could be a preference for living in the Bay Area. It could be a family thing. There's a million other things that are going on here.
Sure.
Russ in the chat says the idea that DCs are afraid to play for a Riley offense that scores 1 million points a game is utterly silly. When I say the thing about not wanting to join Lincoln Riley's staff, I don't say it around the idea that, like, the DC wouldn't want to have a defense opposite Lincoln Riley's offense. What I'm saying is that there is the theory, one that I cannot back up with any evidence or proof or anything like that, because Riley's offense is actually very slow tempo and doesn't run a lot of plays and doesn't tire out their defense as much as people would like to say that it does. It's not one of those offenses. The concept that Lincoln Riley cannot produce an elite defense or even a top defense comes from, speculation about, is it the way he practices? Is it the way they game plan? Is it the way he runs the team? Is it this, that, or the other thing? There's a million things that people have proposed, a million things that who knows? Who the hell knows? I have no concept for any of that. Mm-hmm. But at this point, you do have to look at it and say, okay, if people are uncertain about Lincoln Riley as a head coach, then, maybe you don't want to go join a staff that's just going to get fired in a year. That's certainly part of the equation that these DCs have. Walter in the chat also says it's possible that PK wanted to shake up the defensive staff. This one is interesting. I don't know if you've heard this, Michael, but the idea that maybe Pete wanted full control of defensive staff and USC doesn't want to part ways with particular people on the staff, like Eric Henderson.
That would make the most sense to me.
Yeah. And if that is the case, then I totally get why Kwiatkowski would say, peace out, I'm not doing that, because I wouldn't want somebody, making those decisions for me as a DC.
If you cared about those things, yeah.
Yes. And or if you had somebody in mind that you wanted to be your defensive line coach and you knew they were going to be a really good defensive line coach, but USC said, no, we must have Eric Henderson, someone you haven't worked with before and you don't know if they're, what their level is. Mm-hmm. I could see that being like, yeah, no, I'm not signing up for this. Like that would make sense from if this is the thing that's driving off Kwiatkowski. From a USC perspective, if this is the thing that is driving off elite defensive coordinators, then it is a thing that USC must change immediately. That is not how serious programs run themselves. You do not, and this is a conversation I've had about the hiring Eric Henderson as the defensive coordinator. It's just, Eric Henderson is a good recruiter. I get it. He brought in some really good players. But having an elite DC is way more important than an individual recruiter, especially in the NIL age, where, half of those guys could be retained if you just give them the right financial package. It's that
recruiting is different now. Like, recruiting is still huge, and even maybe even more valuable than before. But like, it's different now, especially like, and this is a conversation that like you and I were wanting to have. And maybe this is the opportunity to just do an abridged version of it. But, like, there's this thing that's happening in soccer right now that is happening in college football, and it's the same thing. And it's the idea of the distribution of power. And really, it's the removing of power from coaches and putting it in the hands of the front office, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this is why Chelsea and Enzo Maresca parted ways. He doesn't want to be a coach. They want him to be a coach. He wants to be a manager, which means he can make personnel decisions. They don't want him to do that. Same thing happened Manchester United and Ruben Amorim, right? Mm-hmm. Literally the same thing. Similar thing happened at Nottingham Forest. Anyways.
This was the power structure that Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool refused to come unless it changed.
Yes. And why does it matter for college football? Because we're seeing the same thing right now where, like, the NIL and all of that is creating the need for a GM. And so SC has brought in a GM in Chad Bowden. And so I think in the best way possible, this makes it better for coaches because they don't have to grind as much in the recruiting side of things because they can lean on the help around them, right? Like the problem is ceding that power from a coach is hard when you have coached your entire career with that autonomy. And so, like, if that's a thing here, which we're just completely speculating, this is based on nothing, could be always a factor when you hire coaches now, because maybe they don't want the input of the GM on personnel decisions, on any of those things. And this is why I think that the harmony and the best possible situation that you can have is a coach that is fully supported, both in terms of effort, money, and alignment on mindsets and coaching style and all of those things. Because if you're all working on the same page, like alignment is a word that, Lincoln Riley talked about when he got hired. Mm-hmm. Mind you, that was before Chad Bowden was there. But like that is the best case scenario. But you do run into problems. You see this in the NFL all the time. That there's Pete Carroll only wanted to go to the Seahawks because he could be the GM too. You know what I mean? Like this is a thing.
Yeah.
That you have to sort of deal with as you go forward. So I don't know. We don't know if that's sort of a factor here either way.
It's all speculation because there's nothing out there about it.
It's been really quiet.
Yeah. Literally the first nugget of information we had on Kwiatkowski, aside from everyone just saying this makes a lot of sense for USC, the first actual nugget from a legitimate reporter was he's in line for the Stanford job. So it's on the one hand, USC having things on lock where it's that quiet is a good thing, because programs that keep lids on things and keep things internally tend to be well-run programs.
Yes.
But at the same time, like it leaves a lot of room for speculation and all that kind of stuff. And I will say, like this time last year, we were sitting here going, why hasn't USC hired a GM yet? Mm-hmm. Why hasn't USC hired a GM yet? What is the wait? Why are they waiting so long? What is going on? Blah, blah, blah. And it turned out they were waiting for Notre Dame to finish in the college football playoff to make the splashiest GM hire that you could possibly make.
Yeah.
So if you're a USC fan and you want some optimism around the DC question, and if PK, as we agree, is the best candidate on the board, and it seems that he is no longer in line for USC, then the optimistic take here is that USC is waiting for somebody that's playing in the college football playoff. And if that somebody is on staff with Miami or Indiana, or, well, Oregon's pretty much been split apart, but Indiana and Miami have very good coordinators that if USC managed to snare either one of those, we would completely flip around our perception of what is going on with this hire. So so much of this is like it's the wait that's frustrating, but the wait doesn't mean USC doesn't have something.
Well, this is the Penn State thing, right?
Yeah.
Like Penn State botched the process, but they won the hire. You know what I mean? Same thing with Michigan.
Yeah.
Botched the process, won the hire, right?
Yeah.
That can be a thing here. But I don't know that SC is botching the process as much as like there's an antsy vibe here, and in part because the transfer portal is open. And so the time is ticking. You got to be quick. You got to be quick on all these things. You got to go out there and get the guys that you want to get. And are they going to sign with you when you don't have a DC? I don't know. That's the big question.
The funny thing is we are going to discuss that.
Yes.
And we're going to discuss no less than 2 defensive players who have signed with USC despite who have committed to USC despite, having a DC. So
and
who knows what that means?
So other names here. Al Golden is someone who worked at Notre Dame. It was obviously former Temple and Miami head coach. He then got fired at Miami, became a DC, and was like very good as a DC. He was very good at Notre Dame, and then ultimately is landed in the NFL. And the scuttlebutt on Golden is that he's going to be staying with the Bengals, but he's a guy absolutely that would be a fantastic hire for the Trojans to get.
For the record, it's no longer scuttlebutt, because just in the last hour or so, the Bengals announced that they were bringing back Zach Taylor, their head coach, and Zach Taylor, their head coach, said he's bringing back his entire staff. So that's official. And
then the other name you alluded to was Eric Henderson, and players are tweeting about this. Floyd Picard tweeted about this. In the transfer portal, Devin Tompkins tweeted about this. Alicia, this is nothing that is new to USC. This is, we've seen this many a time before. Players wanted Coach O. The players wanted Clay Helton. Here we go. The players want Eric Henderson. You talked about like him being a recruiter and all that. I have a hard time with this as a potential hire, in part because I think you promote within when you know you have someone on staff who will be the rock star guy. And maybe this is just my outside perspective, but I don't think Eric Henderson is that guy, right? Or you promote within because you want to keep something going with continuity that is already at an elite level, right?
Yes.
The other thing, though, I don't think it fits the MO of what SC has done the last the two previous off seasons, in 3 including this one, right?
Yeah.
Which is, for all the faults and the warts that Lincoln Riley may have as a coach from your perspective, like, he has made a lot of the right decisions in the offseason the last 2 years. And not just him, but like the athletic department, by going out and getting Chad Bowden a year ago and rating Notre Dame staff. Like, those were all home run decisions that everyone has thought that was good. All the staff guys that Lincoln Riley brought in, like an Eric Henderson as a defensive line coach, good. Like, people have raved about those things. Going out and getting Matt Entz from North Dakota State as your linebackers coach a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Good. All these things, good. Ambition. Going out and getting guys with, outside interest. Danton Lynn wasn't the brand name hire, but he was a hot name when SC hired him. You know what I mean? Like, There was interest there from other schools that would have wanted to get Danton Lynn if USC didn't. So promoting Eric Henderson feels like the antithesis to what has gone on the last 2 years at USC. Like, that's the part I don't understand about it, which is why I'm reluctant to buy into that being the solution here.
Yeah, and it's, the timing of it is weird, because if it was going to be Henderson, and they, like, I guess we'll see this week, right? Because right now, if we sort of just go off what we kind of know or can assume, if PK isn't happening, and now maybe if they were waiting for Al Golden to figure out if he was going to get fired from the Bengals or not, now that he's not getting fired, then USC can just say, okay, our plan was, if not that or that, then we'll just promote Henderson. If it's been Henderson for any longer than that, there's no reason not to just announce it. Yeah. The timing on it feels a little bit weird, unless it happens in the next day, at which point it will be pretty clear what the holdup was. Mm-hmm. I'm with you, though. Like, just because the players want him doesn't mean that's the correct move. In fact, if USC had a top 10 defense, sure, I'd be all about it. But USC's defense is barely top 50. So, like,
yes,
this isn't the time to go and take a chance on somebody who's never been a real defensive coordinator, has only ever had a defensive coordinator title as a salary thing. So it's the laziest move. There are much better options that USC could be going after, and hiring internally would feel like USC was settling to a degree that would worry me a lot, because I'm with you. The way that USC has gone about doing their hires recently under Jen Cohen, now with Chad Bowden, feels like they should be more, at the very least, those two should be more ambitious in terms of where they're turning to go find their to go find a new DC. And you know,
the thing here too is, like, I think Eric Henderson on paper, like, if you just read his Wikipedia page, like, I think it makes sense, right? Like, he won a Super Bowl ring with the Rams. He's listed as was he listed as a co-DC? Am I crazy?
He's co-DC at USC.
Yeah, which is, again, is just in name only. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, again, on paper, you read his Wikipedia page, it makes a lot of sense. The issue here is he's never been an outright DC. I would like someone either who has or is trending to that spot that has buzz around them from other, so, like, you know what I mean? Like, when UCLA hired Danton Lynn, he was a guy that NFL circles had talked about being a potential guy, right? Are people talking about Eric Henderson as being a defensive coordinator?
I have seen his name brought up once for the first time, like yesterday.
Okay.
And it was for I don't even remember what it was for. It was somebody else. I don't know. I don't even remember. It wasn't like, it wasn't like a big thing. So
Jay Mariano in the chat says, in my opinion, if it was Henderson, it would have been announced already. Should have been announced already. Also, don't you think Henderson would have already left if it's another college job, unless he's waiting for an NFL job? That absolutely could be the case. It could be the case that he's still on staff. Sort of. There's no need for him to leave right now. Like, either you're gonna wait out the DC hire, you're gonna wait to get the DC hire yourself, or you're gonna wait to see if there's another NFL job. So you just, it's in a waiting pattern for sort of everybody. All right, let's talk about transfer portal is open. This also means that there are players being signed and still out there who are unsigned, in SC's parlance of calling players re-signed. These are the names, going to run down this list really quick, of all the guys who are confirmed to be re-signed and coming back for next season. Jaden Mayava, Raymond Jordan, King Miller, Tunuk Hines, Zacharias Williams, Carson Tabarachi, Nella Tupou, Walter Matthews. It's right. It's right there, right? It's an easy mistake.
a little bit, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Justin Tawanu'u, Elijah Vacona, Elijah Page, Kaylon Miller, Tobias Raymond, Killian O'Connor, Jide Abasiri, Jamal Jarrett, Floyd Picard, Jakeem Stewart, Cameron Crawford, Braylon Shelby, AJ Tuitele, Desmond Stevens, Jaden Walker, Prophet Brown, Marcellus Williams, Kennedy Urlacher, Christian Pierce, and Ryan Sierra. Those are all the guys confirmed to be coming back.
Well, those are the players of note.
Yes.
There's a bunch more, but we don't want to have to read off a, 60 name list, because USC has re-signed. Actually, it's probably closer to like 80, because USC has re-signed the vast majority of the players that were on the roster, and walk-ons, backups, guys who we don't know if they're going to contribute, all of that kind of stuff. So I just tried to sort of narrow it down to the players whose names you might know, the players who maybe will be starters or whatever. Yeah.
These are the unsigned guys of note. Hassan Longstreet, who now there are reports out there that he is considering a transfer. His brother Kevin Longstreet has entered the transfer portal. So we'll come back to this in a second. So that is one to note, obviously. Offensive lineman Alani Noah, who was AWOL for the Alamo Bowl. Do we know anything there?
Nothing. We know nothing.
Okay.
I am just assuming that he will not be back. Because to me, if you just go AWOL and don't answer calls or just are not reachable.
That's essentially putting yourself in the transfer portal.
Yes. Yeah. And from a USC perspective, Alani Noah was not a good enough offensive lineman for them this year to let that slide. Like, you almost have to make an example of him that, like, this is not acceptable. So if he's not already in the transfer portal, then he probably should be, in my view.
Tamir Robinson, unsigned so far. We'll see if maybe incoming transfers is why that would be a holdup. Alex Graham, freshman corner who got hurt early in the season and was someone who people looked at as a potential savior to the secondary. We saw him a little bit in the end of the season. Still lots of room in the DB room for him, but he is still unsigned. And Caden Chittenton, the kicker, former freshman All-American kicker who was Wally pipped by Ryan Sierra. He's not in the portal and he's not signed. Go in the portal and sign for a top 25 team, dude. Like, I feel bad for the kid. I do, but like he's gonna find a landing spot that's gonna be good, even if it's not an SC, right? You have to think. Yeah.
Chittenden, I just have to assume will go somewhere. I don't know how. I don't know how that'll work out for him, but he should be. But Alex Graham is the big one. Alex Graham should not be allowed to leave if you're USC. For a long time, Jide Abasiri, we're going to talk about that in a second. We already said he was on the coming back list. For a long time, Jide Abasiri was the one that I was looking at going, like, there is no circumstances under which USC should let him walk. Alex Graham is now the next big name there. But if you look at USC's depth chart, there are a lot of defensive backs. There are a lot of corners.
Yeah.
But the safety depth chart is not particularly, robust. Mm-hmm. So if Alex Graham, that he was on the depth chart for the Alamo Bowl, he was listed as a backup safety, which may have just been a break glass in case of emergency situation.
Sure.
But considering his nickel back, the alignment there, maybe he could factor in the safety situation. Prophet Brown is assumed to be the starting nickelback, but he could be a starting corner for USC if that sort of shook out that way. So if I was Alex Graham, I could see him looking at the thing and thinking I might not be starting next year. Mm-hmm. But if I was Alex Graham, I'd bet on myself and assume I'm going to be starting next year. So I don't know. We'll see on him. Yeah. We'll see what the holdup is, but I would be very disappointed if he didn't come back.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye there. And then Hassan Longstreet. This is the one I think we can discuss a little bit here. Considering a transfer, his brother's in the portal. SC did not have a great quarterback performance in the Valero Alamo Bowl, just like they did not a year ago in the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl, although they got a sensational one the year before in the DirecTV Holiday Bowl, followed by a year of poor quarterback play. Last year's SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl, terrible quarterback play, really good quarterback play during the season following it. So, if anything, bad quarterback play in the Alamo Bowl means good quarterback play for Jaden Mayava in 2026. But what does that mean for Hassan Longstreet? Well, I think there's, knee-jerk reactions of, Mayava bad, Longstreet must be good. Keep Longstreet, start him over Mayava bad. There's that factor. But I think more than anything, you need a guy, or you would like a guy with the upside of Hassan Longstreet to be on your roster, right? Like, where are you on this whole Longstreet thing?
I want Longstreet on the roster. I think that he would be a great backup for USC in 2026. I think he would be the heir apparent coming into 2027. Mm-hmm. He'd have plenty of time to have gotten developed, and so that when he made his debut, theoretically in 2027, he'd be ready to go and compete at the highest possible level. I think the best case scenario for everybody involved is him coming back to USC and just letting this all play out. If he decides to go, that's his decision, but it's a decision that will impact him more than it'll impact USC. And I say this from the perspective of this. There is a long history of quarterbacks who have had the decision of whether or not they wanted to be developed by Lincoln Riley. The ones who decided to be developed by Lincoln Riley have, by and large, been massive successes. Anything from Heisman level to high-quality starter.
Yeah.
The ones who have decided not to be developed by Lincoln Riley are a very mixed bag that is weighed heavily towards not succeeding in any place, bouncing around the transfer portal. And
the only quarterback that has had really, really good success after leaving is Jackson Dart, but SC didn't bring back Jackson Dart because they brought a guy named Caleb Williams who won the Heisman.
The biggest successes that I can think of after leaving Lincoln Riley were all guys who didn't choose that. Like Dart left because Caleb was coming in. It was very clear. Spencer Radler left because he had been replaced by Caleb Williams and went on to a good career with South Carolina. Miller Moss left because he had been replaced by Jaden Mayava and goes on to have a pretty decent year with Louisville. Like there are very, very few success stories of guys who choose not to play for Lincoln Riley. And Hassan Longstreet might be one of them. He could end up at Oregon or any other good place that does a good job of developing quarterbacks, and he could be really, really good. My perspective on this is that that's on him to decide if he wants to take that chance and go find himself somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Will USC be okay without Hassan Longstreet? Yes. Yes, history tells us this. Because number one, Lincoln Riley, his quarterback evals are the only thing I trust him about at this point. And if he has already decided that Hassan Longstreet is not his starter, then that tells us enough. Like there was a point during the Alamo Bowl this past season, like a few days ago, where if Hassan Longstreet was ready to play, Lincoln Riley could have very easily plugged him in and seen what he had.
Could have, but he hasn't showed that MO.
Well, he replaced Spencer Radler. Spencer Radler got replaced when he wasn't even doing extremely poorly. He was just doing like meh, and he put in Caleb Williams.
He never replaced Mayava mid-game. He never replaced Miller Moss mid-game.
Yes. Because they never really gave him the need to. But if Hassan Longstreet was that good of a prospect that he knew was can't miss, that they knew that they couldn't let go, then they would have taken pains to stop that from happening. Like you could, if they wanted to choose between Mayava and Longstreet, they did it and they chose Mayava. So number one, people are making a lot of assumptions about what level Mayava is at what level Longstreet is at without any evidence that he is ready to be that guy. With all of the signs telling us that Lincoln Riley does not believe he's ready to go.
Yeah.
And the fact that if USC was desperate enough to keep him, they would have given him a bag that was big enough that he wouldn't have any reason to leave. So for me, USC saying basically allowing this to happen is a clear sign that Lincoln Riley is not that bothered by it, or has made his choice and is confident enough in Mayava. And next season, USC will just end up in the same position they were in this season, with Mayava being the starter and a true freshman being their backup, which the true freshman being, why am I forgetting his name right now? Jonas Williams, who's a really, really good prospect who could be just as good as Hassan Longstreet. And if USC needs to dip into the portal and find a veteran backup, or have Sam Heward come back and fill in if that needs to happen, then that'll happen. But when it comes down to it, all of the history tells us that The risk is on Longstreet, not on USC. USC will be fine at quarterback if Lincoln Riley is the coach. It's very simple. And if Mayava leaves and USC doesn't have anybody next year to instantly replace, you just do what all of the CFP teams did and just get a plug-and-play starter.
Yeah, it's two in the bird and three in the bush, or what's the
two in the hand is worth one in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Sure. Yeah. Anyways, that's to me what this is, right? Like, you know that if the thing is just about the starting position, right? You know what you have in Jaden Mayava. Jaden Mayava is someone who, when he is like, if you would run it back given the regular season, right? There's no reason not to. Unless you had someone that you knew was absolutely going to be better. And I think that Hassan Longstreet could be, but you don't know he is better yet because he hasn't gotten the opportunity yet. And just given the way that college football is and that the transfer portal exists, you don't need to plan for the future quarterback anymore. You need to plan for this next season. And so if that means that you put all your eggs in Mayava's basket, then you put all your eggs in Mayava's basket. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, it sucks because you want Hassan Longstreet here. 1,000% you do. You want Longstreet and you want Jonas Williams and you want everybody. At the same time, that's just not the reality in college football right now. If you don't win the starting job, you're probably looking to transfer. If you don't stay long enough, you've got opportunities elsewhere. And the way college football is, you can find a transfer quarterback if you need one. Look at the long list of national championship and playoff quarterbacks of late. How many of them have been transfers? Almost like the majority of them.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them.
So if ever there was a time to say, we'll deal with this later.
Look at the four quarterbacks in the playoff right now.
That's what I'm saying. They're all transfers.
They're all transfers. The only one that I think is a normal traditional pathway is Chambliss. And
Chambliss was a D2
he
quarterback.
He was a D2 national champion. So
yeah.
you know what I mean? So even that's not normal, but you can lie to yourself and say that that's JUCO. You know what I mean?
He was a D2 quarterback who came into Ole Miss as a backup. He was not going to be the starter.
Yeah. He
Wally pipped Austin Simmons. So yeah, it's and the other thing, I'm gonna be fighting this battle all off season, but I don't think people give Jaden Mayava nearly enough credit. If you put Jaden Mayava on Ohio State or Oregon or Indiana, he would have been in New York for the Heisman ceremony, if not winning that damn trophy. If he had an offensive line like any of those guys did, or a defense like any of those did, it would be such a different situation for him. It's just frustrating that some USC fans have given up on the idea of Jaden Mayava being good enough when the reasons that they're mad at Jaden Mayava, the reasons they think that Jaden Mayava isn't good enough are largely less to do with Mayava and much more to do with an offensive line that was barely functional, that was functional and did a fine job, but we're grading on a curve there.
Yeah. Because
they were nothing near what Ohio State or Oregon or Indiana had. Mm-hmm. And with defense, all three of those teams had defenses that are in the top 10 in defensive FEI and take so much weight off of the quarterback that Jaden Mayava has had to bear all season. So yeah, that's just not it.
Yeah. Yeah. You go with what you know, and what you know is that Mayava absolutely is a quarterback that will win you games. He was a big factor in even the games SC lost. He had his moments in, right? I thought he played well at times in the Notre Dame game. He wasn't as good as against Oregon, but he had a couple of really good drives. The Illinois game, he would have been the reason SC won the game. If they would have, him and Lemon would have been the reason they won the game. They didn't lose because of Mayava in that game.
No. No, and again, I will continue to go back. Like, people want to say that it's all Lane and Lemon, but yeah, having really good receivers makes a huge difference. This is 100% true.
Porque
Yes, no, porque no los. Also, like, you know what else is really, really helpful to a quarterback? Having a run game that's consistent because your offensive line is dominant. Having pass protection that lets you sit back in the pocket for an hour and pick apart a defense. You don't need wide receivers making 50-50 catches if you get to sit in the pocket for 5 seconds. And Mayava...
Let me push back on that. You do if you're gonna throw goal line fades every other play in the red zone.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But like, it's easier to run everything if you have a really good offensive line, and USC has not had a really good offensive line in a long time.
Yeah.
And you know, the defense, people act like he can't like win big games. He scored the points necessary against Illinois. He scored the points necessary against TCU.
Well,
USC lost those games because the defense had stinkers in the end.
The true irony here is that his Notre Dame performance in 2024, he throws 2 pick sixes at the end of the game, and that absolutely was a factor in why SC was not able to tie it late. Absolutely. Like, wasn't his PFF grade like the highest against Notre Dame all season or whatever? Notre Dame was the national runner-up. So, like, the thing with Mayava is, like, you're going to get a lot of good and a lot of, like, at the same time. You have to mitigate the And for the most part this season, he did. He did not do that in the Alamo Bowl. But
why? Again, so again, is there a coincidence that the games where Jaden Mayava had the most were in games where USC lost the battle in the trenches? There is not. USC could not run the game.
Yeah.
USC could not run against TCU. They could not run against Nebraska. They could not run against Notre Dame, and they could not run against Oregon.
Yeah.
All of those games are ones where it makes a difference if you have an offensive line that actually gives you time. And this idea that, like, Mayava, somebody said in the chat that Mayava is turnover prone. Yeah, quarterbacks who are under pressure a lot are turnover prone. There's like a link there. And for all intents and purposes, if you had Mayava throw just as many interceptions as he did this season, but had USC's defense make one more stop each game, USC is probably in the playoff.
I don't think it's probably. I think they are.
Or at least have 10 or 11 wins.
Like, you don't have to change the Oregon and Notre Dame game. You get one more stop against Illinois. Mm-hmm. Although they got 2 weird stops with turnovers, but we're not talking about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One more stop against Illinois and they're in the playoff. Anyways, let's talk about the transfer portal. The transfer portal is wide open, of course. And SC has been out there hosting dudes, looking for dudes, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to run down some guys who were on campus. Cornerback Jontez Williams, wide receiver Terrell Anderson, defensive lineman Stephylan Green from Clemson, linebacker Devin Bryant from Washington, Zariah Fisher from Penn State, Cam Coleman from Auburn, Tyree Adams from LSU. Those guys on campus in the last couple of days, including some commitments. The 3 commitments here, Jontez Williams, the corner from Iowa State, Terrell Anderson, the receiver from NC State, and Devin Bryant, the linebacker from Washington. Alicia, those 3 guys of that list, are those guys you would have preferred to be the commitments out of that list, or how do you see it?
I think that Jontez Williams absolutely is a lockdown corner. Getting Jontez Williams is at the very least to me like bringing in oh my gosh, what the guy who's with the Vikings, who was really good as a freshman. Some of them.
As a freshman, you got Mekhi Blackman.
Mekhi Blackman, yes.
Yeah, as a senior.
Yes, yeah. Brought in as a. I'm saying, like, as somebody who you come in automatic number one, no question,
Yeah.
like shutdown corner. He simplifies everything for USC because number one, he was doing that at Iowa State in a power conference. And unless his like injury really sets him back, I think this is pretty confident that he's going to be okay coming back to USC, and it just simplifies everything because now Jontez Williams locked in. Now you have competition between a whole lot of other corners for that one spot, but that competition frees you up for so much. Like I'm penciling in Marcellus Williams as the starter right now, but now we get to see an actual battle between Chasen Johnson and Marcellus Williams, and then any of the freshmen or any of them that come into that. And the more guys you have competing for that, the more options you have, the more you don't have to just, like this year, USC had to settle on Nicholson and Williams because they were their best options. And they weren't always great options, but they were their best options. So you sort of had to live with it, where now that competition can sort of raise everything up. Terrell Anderson, I like. He feels like a guy who, while his production isn't particularly impressive, he's technically a really strong receiver who can come in and be sort of a little bit of a solid veteran presence next to Tanook Hines. I would like to see USC maybe swing a little bit more for the fences, but like Cam Coleman was just always going to end up at Texas Tech. I think Nick
Marsh to Indiana. Too.
Yeah, Nick Marsh went to Indiana, which again is, if you want to go to a national title contender, I'm not going to argue with you. So I'm happy with the addition. I'm not sure that he is 100% like wide receiver number 2, but USC has had success with guys coming from NC State. I mean, Bishop Fitzgerald was from NC State, and he translated pretty damn well. And the situation behind Tanook Hines, I feel very strongly, will settle itself out. USC has so many options to choose from that the pieces will fall where they are, and I expect Terrell Anderson to be one of those starters and somebody else to come through as either number 2 or 3 and sort of move Anderson around from where he ends up.
Yeah.
Devin Bryant. USC's biggest position, I was talking to a friend about this, USC's biggest position by far, and we aren't talking about it enough, the biggest positional need that USC has this offseason is linebacker. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I don't know that USC wants to acknowledge that because USC's coaching staff seems to think that Desmond Stevens is their guy. But fact is that USC needs a lot of help, quality improvements at linebacker. I would like to have seen them swing way more for the fences. There are some Cal just had a guy enter the portal that like USC should have been on the phone and offering the sky and the moon to get him to come to USC. I'm skeptical that they will be. So to me, Devin Bryant is just a little bit too run-of-the-mill in terms of making me super happy. However, he is far and away an upgrade in run defense over literally anybody on the roster. He his run defending grade this season was like 5 points better than Eric Gentry, who was USC's best run defender, and he wasn't even that good of a run defender. So if USC's looking for somebody who can go in and provide more of that presence and play tough and play hard, which my understanding of Devin Bryant is like his mentality is very good. And maybe hopefully that kind of attacking mentality could rub off on someone like Desmond Stevens. I think that could be a really good addition. My concern is that he's pretty vulnerable in coverage, so I'm not sure that you can like play him every down.
You say he's a thumper and not a lurker.
Yeah, he's a thumper, not a lurker. So he's one I'm very curious of. He's one I think is certainly an improvement in terms of the abilities that he has specifically in the run game. But USC so much hinges on that linebacker position that I would like to see even another addition there of a starting level linebacker who will really like be a general in the middle.
Right.
So, none of these guys are guys who I look at all these guys and I think those are fine additions. Those are good additions. I don't think USC's making a mistake on any of them. Mm-hmm. With the wide receiver and linebacker, I think it would just be nice if USC was bringing in guys who were maybe closer to all conference status than either of them.
Yeah, I think Jontez Williams is someone who could maybe aspire there to be all conference.
Yeah.
Terrell Anderson and Devin Bryant are starters.
Yeah.
But
solid, could make a difference, but
solid starters, yes. On your dream national championship team, they're rotational guys.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Devin Bryant, third in tackles for Washington, 63 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. The number 15 rated linebacker in the transfer portal, according to 24/7, at least as of the other day. Yeah, and to go back to Jontez Williams, I if he's the Mekhi Blackman, fantastic, great. The corner you just don't have to think about anymore. You can focus on the other side. Like you said, that is the dream scenario. He doesn't even have to be all conference. Like, he just has to be strong and not a liability. Mm-hmm. And the guy that is going to give you a 75 plus PFF grade every single week, whatever it is, right? My concern. Only played 5 games this season, tore his ACL. He had 4 interceptions, 46 tackles a year ago for the Cyclones. And, that's good. His PFF grades were fantastic, all those things. A year ago, were we not saying the same things about DJ Harvey? And I know DJ Harvey was in the Mountain West.
That's the big difference for
me. And he was like an all Mountain West second teamer. And Jontez Williams was playing at a high level in the Big 12, which is not an easy conference to
playing at a higher level
corner.
At a higher level than
yes, but he's coming off of an injury, and the injury thing, guys come off of ACLs all the time and they're fine. The ACLs are not the death sentence that they were 25 years ago, but I don't know. I just worry because SC's corner transfers a year ago you felt really good about in DJ Harvey and Jason Johnson. Jason Johnson got hurt, and DJ Harvey just wasn't as advertised. So,
this is the...
He's the number 1 corner in the transfer portal, though. He's the best option you could have gotten. So, absolutely, he's who you needed to go. Yes. I don't want to be a wet blanket here.
No.
He's 1,000% who you needed.
But you're right. And this is maybe one of my biggest concerns about USC choosing, theoretically, if they go with Eric Henderson as the DC, or if whoever comes in is compelled to keep all of the coaches, is that I have been disappointed with the evaluations that USC has made.
Yeah.
with regards to transfers in. Now, they got Bishop Fitzgerald bang on, so I'm not gonna say they missed on everybody, but I think that there has clearly been too many misses in terms of guys that we thought were going to come in and be impact kind of players, mm-hmm. and have been very not that.
I think there's a combination too of guys who maybe missed on the scouting of how much of an impact you thought there could be. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is just not getting it out of them, right?
Yes.
At some points, if you're scouting you're getting guys that, 24/7 thinks are good, the media thinks they're good, other schools thought were good, all those kind of things, but you're not getting anything out of them on a repetitive basis, then it's you.
Then it's a you problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think SC's, stuff with the transfer portal has been such a mixed bag that it feels like you could look at it either way. You can look at all the transfers that have been fantastic, and you can look at all the ones that have been bad, and you can make any argument that you want. Everything's sort of there for the taking there. So, all right, let's get to before we get to over under with the transfer portal, positions that have not been addressed that you want to be addressed?
I think USC needs help on the offensive line, if only just some depth. And
do you need a running back?
No, I don't think USC needs a running back. Personally.
So you're good with Wayman Jordan, King Miller, and the 2 incoming freshmen.
I've got Wayman Jordan, King Miller, Riley Wormley, Deshaun Rideau, and Sean Alston on the 2 deep.
Yes,
I'm fine with that. I think that's perfectly suitable.
I agree. But coming off of a season in which you lost your 1 and 2, and you're
right, but
you lost your 1 and 2, and your 3 and 4 had injury issues throughout the year, and you ended up with the walk-on guy who was fantastic and great. But so it's not like you struggled to get the carries in there, but you also didn't have a lot of bodies very quickly. 5 guys is nice if you have them healthy all the entire
right, but
year.
I don't think you can operate. I don't think you can operate in the NIL era. If you're going to go find a running back that's worth playing, you are going to have to spend some money. And at a certain point, maybe it is time to give Riley Wormley his chance. Maybe we do want to see Deshaun Rideau and Sean Alston.
I agree. I just are they going to be healthy? That's the question.
Well, but you can't. Not. We're talking about USC needs to be 6 or 7 deep because 5 guys might get injured.
I don't think that's a crazy thing about the running back.
I don't think you can. I don't think that's the way it's going to go. I don't.
We see it every year. Running backs are never healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what USC had happened to them this past season was unusual in terms of
the severity
of losing those guys for as long as they did. I am more than happy to roll with the 5 that USC has and the walk-ons that have been sort of hanging around for a while and just sort of let that be.
All I'm saying is there was one running back the SC had that did not get hurt all year. One.
Okay.
So that's where I worry. To me, I'll always take another body. But I agree that if there's limited NIL money and you've got to distribute your NIL dollars somewhere, your recruiting hours in video game parlance, it makes sense to focus on the offensive line and other areas.
Yeah, it's more for me about resources. Yeah.
I'd like a defensive end.
I would love a dominant defensive end.
Yeah.
But okay, so I guess here's what I would say. I would say I think that USC needs depth on the offensive line. Mm-hmm. If not if you can find a plug and play starter, by all means, bring him in. But if nothing else, you need a body or 2 just to help your depth there because you don't want to be in a position where you have to play true freshmen.
Yeah.
USC needs, in order to become a fully fledged good defense, USC needs a dominant pass rusher. I don't care what position they play. They just need to be a dominant pass rusher. Mm-hmm. Zariah Fisher from Penn State is a solid defensive end. He has a good pass rush rate. He played against Big Ten opposition. I think he'd be a good addition. If USC was going to make a big home run swing in the portal this year, I would need it to be in one of 2 positions: a dominant pass rusher or a field general middle linebacker. But it's hard because those guys, number 1, have to exist. Mm-hmm. And number 2, USC has to outbid everybody else who wants them. So I don't know.
The thing about defensive end is Zariah Fisher is interesting. He's a guy he's getting ready for his 7th season in college football. He's going to be a true 6-year medical redshirt guy, but he enrolled in 2020, so he has a free COVID year, so 7 years. But anyways, 3.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks for the Nittany Lions this past year. Number 8 rated defensive end. I the more the merrier and all that kind of stuff. He's just not he's not the guy that I think is holding you back. The guy that told you need your Leatu Latu. You need your Tui Pelotu, right? You need that guy. I don't know who that guy is. Ideally, you create that guy out of Braylon Shelby, out of Cam Crawford.
Well, and that's the tricky bit, right?
Because you just need that guy.
In theory, USC has the guys that they need.
Sure.
Between Shelby and Fountain, and Luke Wafel coming in, maybe being that guy. Theoretically, if you decided to move Jakeem Stewart back out on the outside, like theoretically, you might have that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But
depending where you play Abasiri,
it's the theoretically that is worrying me, because theoretically USC came into 2025 set on the edge with Fountain and Shelby and Lucas, and that unit didn't produce didn't have the production that USC needed from them consistently. So maybe it's a schematic thing. I just have a hard time, given that maybe we're buying too much into the sack production of that. That UCLA team. I mean, maybe
under Danton Lynn.
Maybe, but I also using my eyes this season. USC didn't win enough of those pass rushing snaps, just in general.
Yeah, and I think that and we saw it a year ago where they would rush Easton Mascarenas Arnold right up the A gap, and he'd almost never get there. But that was one of the ways to sort of get pressure on third down, which would open up a hole in the middle of the field. Luckily, Kamari Ramsey would be behind him to get tackles there, which is why they were so good on third down in 2024. But I guess my concern about SC's defensive front is that I like a lot of the individual players.
Yeah. You know what?
I like Braylon Shelby.
I like politicians.
What?
They're like politicians. Everybody likes their local politician, and everyone hates Congress.
Sure. I don't know if that's completely true, but I hear what you're saying. I really like Jaden Abasiri. I really like Jakeem Stewart. I like these individual guys. And they've all flashed in their own ways at different moments. Jakeem Stewart, extremely productive given the limited run that he got this season as a true freshman. But I like all those guys. It just collectively, the production's not there. And is that on Henderson? Is it on Nua? Was it on Danton Lynn? Was it on a little bit of this, a little bit of that? Probably. But
I'm sure
if you can
it's
address it in the transfer portal, great. I just also have my sort of concerns. But
yeah. So just to put this into perspective, in the Big Ten, so only the Big Ten, the pass rush success rate, Michigan, Northwestern, Ohio State, Indiana, Penn State, Ohio State, Rutgers, Illinois, Wisconsin, Northwestern. Those were the guys who had 9% success rates. USC's top success rate was Braylon Shelby, tied for 18th with 7.9%. Zariah Fisher from Penn State was 7.5. The next guy from USC is Floyd Boucard, who was not a regular starter, 6.9.
I like Floyd Boucard.
I like Floyd Boucard a lot, actually. Jaden Abasiri, 6.4. Devin Tompkins, 5.4. Cam Crawford, 5.1. 49th in the Big Ten. That can't be where your edges are at. Your starting edge rushers cannot be that low. Anthony Lucas, 5.0. It's not going to cut it. It's simply not going to cut it if USC comes in with these guys repeating the same. Even Shelby, which is sort of closer to fine. If Shelby is your second guy and you have an elite guy opposite him, we're good. But you can't have Shelby's 7.9 being far and away your best.
While you are not getting successful play from your linebackers, right?
Yes.
If this was a situation where you just didn't get a lot of havoc plays from your defensive line, but your linebackers made all the plays behind them, that'd be a different story. But that's not the story here. It's also not the story of maybe there's a guy who was just, setting the edge and eating up blocks and all that kind of stuff. So he wasn't productive, but he was creating space for other guys. That would be individually fine. But you can't just have everybody lacking production with the exception of Jakeem Stewart in his 12 snaps that he got all season or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Anyways, we got a super chat.
Yay.
From Sean in beautiful Austin, Texas. No, we talked about it in the third game of the season, but how many more sacks did SC get this season versus last year and versus the median? Love y'all. You want to pull that up?
Yeah, so USC had 21 sacks last year.
Yeah.
This year they had 31, led by Cam Crawford at 5.5. The issue
they had like 14 through 3 games or
the
something.
issue really is they had 14 in the first 3 games against the worst teams that they played all year. They had 3 against Michigan, but they had 2 or less against most of the, like 1 against Notre Dame, 0 against Oregon, 0 against Iowa. They finished out the season strong with 4 against UCLA and 3 against TCU. It did feel like they were getting to the quarterback more regularly against TCU.
Yeah.
But it was an improvement, but like not. This is the problem with everything about USC's defense at this stage. Like, was it better than before? Yes, but also before was terrible, and now USC just like took one step up and they're fine. 31 in the country is tied for 31 sacks is tied for 34th in the country with a bunch of teams. But like you're looking at the elite defenses: Miami, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Indiana, Texas Tech, Miami. Oh, sorry, Miami, Ohio. They're all up above 40. Now, does USC have to have 40 sacks to have a successful season? No. But the closer you get to 40, chances are the more successful that you're going to be.
You don't even have to have a lot of sacks to have a good pass rush. But it certainly helps, right?
Yes.
Like, it's if you have a lot of sacks, then your pass rush is definitely good.
Yes.
So the interesting thing is I just pulled it up. In conference play alone, I was thinking that SC would be very poor the last 2 seasons because both of those seasons, SC sacks were very production-wise front-loaded in the beginning of the season. 2024, SC ranked 11th in Big Ten play alone with 15 sacks. 2025, where do you think SC ranks?
7th.
Yes, tied for 7th.
Hello.
With Oregon.
But Oregon had shutdown corners and good linebacker play and good defensive line play, and
I wouldn't have guessed that. I really would not have guessed.
Okay, so here's the thing though. So I just went to PFF. Pressure grade. So this is the overall team pressure grade. Iowa leads the conference. Oregon, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan, Washington, Penn State. USC is 12th, behind Illinois.
Yeah.
Illinois.
What did he do there?
I don't know. Ohio State is 10th. So again, you can have a good defense without a super high pressure rate.
Yeah.
But Ohio State also had an overall defensive grade of 93.8, where USC's was 79.5. So like,
The other thing too is, small sample size when you look at totals and like SC's sack numbers. Yes, they're tied for 7th with 18 sacks in Big 10 play. But literally half of those came against Purdue and UCLA.
Yeah.
They had none against Oregon, none against Iowa, 1 against Nebraska, 1 against Notre Dame, 1 in the Illinois game. Like, those are games that you needed more production out of your dudes. So, yeah. All right.
And for the record, USC's pressure rate last season ranked 15th. So in the Big Ten.
24 or 5?
24.
What did we call in last season?
We're not into 2025 being last season yet.
Okay.
All
right.
So USC did get better in terms of producing pressure, but again, like you need a leap and not just a small step.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to over under. Looking back at the Holiday Bowl, over under, and sort of like this is a big deal. A lot was on the line.
Mm-hmm. So you're going over.
I'm going to take an under here. I got 3 under to take. I'm going to do an under here.
All right, we start. Over under 114.5 King Miller rushing yards. You said over. I said over. It was under 99. He was. He should have been over.
He was so close.
He was so close.
And it sucks because honestly, the run blocking in that game was just pitiful. And he still got 99 yards. If the offensive line that even just finished the season, if Elijah Page plays, I guarantee you King Miller gets the freshman rushing record and the 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
But alas.
Over under 6.5 Kennedy Urlacher tackles. We both said over. It was under 2. I didn't expect that one at all.
Yeah.
That might have been the one I put the most confidence points behind.
I'm not sure what happened in terms of him not being as near the ball as much in this game. I don't know.
Next one, over under 60.5 Zacharias Williams receiving yards. You said under, I said over. It was under, it was 0.
It was under, yeah.
0. Yeah.
I really like Zacharias Williams, but that was a no-show performance, and I don't know. I hope he's just getting back from injury and will be at full strength and full speed next year, but it's been a pretty disappointing run for him. So
yeah. All right. Over under 1.5 TCU interceptions thrown because SC was playing Ken Stabler. Seals. You said under, I said over. It was 1 pick. It was a deflection. Christian Pierce snatched that one. Next one, over under 10.5. TCU second half points. You said under, I said over. It was under, right at 10.
Got 10.
Yeah.
Got that 10.
Last one, over under 4.48 TCU sack adjusted yards per carry. You said under, I said over. It was over. It was 4.9. When I first looked at this, I thought it said 4.49. I'm like, oh my God, we were right on the nose, but no, 4.9. All right, Alicia, for the week, you went 3-3. I went 1-5, but of course, it's the bowl game. We doubled things for the bowl game, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you went 6-6, and I went 2-10. You were bowl eligible in the bowl game. Yeah.
After a very rough season, I'll take getting back to 500.
Yeah. Rough week for me. Let's look at the top rot box of the week. We had a lot of good scores, a lot of 10-pointers, which was going 5-1. Our buddy Steve in the Bay Area, Britton Irvine, Scotty C., Aaron from Madison, Stephen Schad, 10 points. But there was a 12-pointer. It was John Clown.
Clown with a K.
Yes. Alicia, we set the stage for where the Rotbots were for the season coming into the bowl game. Vince in San Diego. There he was, the number 1 seed. He was 2024 Oregon. Number 1, clearly number 1. Undefeated, the man. 41 points he had won on the season, followed by John Clown at number 2 at 39, HH&HB at 37, Trevor M at 36, Jay Vandy and Stephen Schott at 35. I was 10th with 33. That was nice.
Right there with LA Fred and Aaron from Madison.
Yes. Our buddy Steve in the Bay Area, Pickle and Moose Pants in the middle there. But here's how it shook out. John Clown dropped a 10-pointer.
A 12-pointer.
A 12-pointer, yes. Perfect 6-0.
Perfect score.
Vince in San Diego fumbled it.
Ooh.
2-4, which means he got 4 points. He falls from first place to a tie for second with Stephen Schott, who had 10 points himself, and moves up from 5th to 2nd. So John Clown, congratulations.
Yay.
Congratulations. You are the winner for this year's over under Rot standings here. 51 points won, a big win because Stephen Chad and Vincent San Diego were at 45. So really separated with a dominant showing in the bowl game. A buddy Steve from the Bay Area and Trevor M tied for 4th. Aaron from Madison, Jay Vandy tied for 6th. Moose Pants alone in 8th. Britton Irvine alone in 9th. 10 is Scotty C and Pickle. 12 HH and HB. HH and HB struggled like I did in the bowl game. Only 2 points. HH and HB fell from 3rd to 12th.
Oof.
I feel that. I feel that pain because Alicia, there was the 13th ties, which were Kinguro 30 and Matthew and the LBC, and then 15th was you all alone.
Let's go! Late comeback!
Which means that 16th was a tie between me and fittingly fighting on MC from Palmdale. You were ahead.
I gotcha by 1. I gotcha by 1. All season, I've been trailing behind, all season struggling, and I got you by 1. Look at that late comeback.
I was dominating your ass.
You were. I do
dominating
not know. I do not know how this happened, to be quite honest.
I led all the Rotbots at one point.
Yeah. What happened? I got back to 500. You dipped under. You're like me in our bowl pick'em.
This was probably the worst bowl performance I've ever had in my life. And not just like, it's not just that I did poorly in 1 and 5, which is only 2 points, lost 10 points there, but I was way wrong on Kennedy Urlacher, way wrong on Zacharias Williams, way wrong on the stupid interceptions, and King Miller was a bummer.
That was just a bummer.
Yeah. The sack adjusted yards, I got that one. The second half points, I missed by a literal half point. So, I don't know. The Urlacher one and the Zacharias Williams one. Those embarrassing misses. I don't know why you guys listen to me because I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. I'm hideous.
Clearly.
Hideous. Anyways, congratulations to John Clown. Congratulations.
Reach out, John. Email reignoftroy@fansided.com. We need to start giving the winners of our league something. So I don't know what that thing will be, but reach out and we'll figure something out.
We'll do something. We'll do something for sure. All right. Your score predictions, or our score predictions. For the Alamo Bowl, you said 35-24 Trojans over the Frogs. I said 33-29. I was close in the score. I said SC by 4. The game was decided by 3 points. The other way, SC loses. TCU wins 30-27. Any other new thoughts? It's been almost a week. Because I will tell you, I've already forgotten about half the game.
My thoughts on the game. I don't know if I said this on the Carcast or not, because maybe I hadn't looked at the numbers or anything like that. But to me, the game is very much defined by the discombobulation of the offense and then the defense's issues that have always been there.
Yeah.
Having USC's offense be missing so many players, not just starters and stars like Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon, but the top 2 tight ends, multiple offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
I think the offensive line shakeup and just reaching sort of the bottom of the barrel really set USC back, and I think people want to create the narrative that Jaden Mayava without Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane is just a scrub or something like that. But to me, what happened was he clearly had plenty of trust and ability to get the ball to Tino Kynes, who had 150 yards. It was clear that the other receivers and and Mayava were not on the same page, and it was clear that USC's inability to run the ball had him unsettled, and the whole situation had him unsettled. So I'm not reading a lot into the offensive performance. TCU had their entire two deep defensively playing in that game from the season. USC had like 3 starters on the field. Defensively, again, USC was missing a lot of guys, and TCU, while missing their quarterback and their top receiver, just seemed like they were in a more stable position than USC. I thought USC's defense threw themselves around pretty well, but the missed tackles in the end are they are what they are. And in the end, it's not that big a deal. The only big deal about the game or the loss is if the way that USC lost that game is just the way that Lincoln Riley loses games, which I think is a perfectly reasonable thing to be concerned about. But yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
On Twitter, I did a comparison, a depth chart comparison between USC's depth chart and TCU's depth chart, and who was available and who wasn't. And USC's is just red lines all over the place, and TCU's is 3 red lines in total across 22 positions.
I want to make clear that, like, SC should have won this game even with the starters.
Yes.
They had out, right? Like I think pointing out the discrepancy in opt-outs and transfers and all that kind of stuff, it's not an excuse as much as it's an explainer for why SC didn't perform as they had throughout the season.
They just looked very off.
Yeah, I don't view it as an excuse because they should have still won the game.
Yes.
Like, they should have made a tackle on 3rd and 20, whatever it was, right?
They should have made a tackle 10 yards down the field. They should have made a tackle 13 yards down the field, 14, 15 yards down the field. Yeah. Anything.
Yeah. There's a button I want to press, but I can't press it yet because we got to get to the mailbag. So let's just do that right now.
You've got mail.
All right. We'll start with an email from Tony. Michael, Alicia, this is Tony from the Nora, PA. I keep hearing people come up with excuses why we lost this game, and I'm tired of excuses. No excuse for missing 3 tackles on a running back who was an inch from the boundary. No excuse for throwing a pick inside of the 5. No excuse for play calling at the 2-yard line in overtime. No excuse for the defensive coordinator. Keep going to the 3-man front and zone behind it. The young man shredded it all game. Excuses, excuses, excuses. I would love to hear Lincoln at the presser just rip everything, everybody, including himself. And I'd like to see accountability from this team. I'm not a big Saban fan, but he didn't give his teams a moment to be satisfied. That's why they hosted up multiple titles. Tony in the Nora, PA.
We feel that, Tony. Spoiler alert, you did not hear that from Lincoln at the press conference. And again, I think we take press conferences too seriously a lot of the time. But I will say that, like, Lincoln, just stop saying you're close. Just change the way that you approach these things. You're only opening yourself up to being made fun of.
I like some media training in this. I think we need to stop listening to taking press conferences verbatim in terms of coach speak and whatnot. But I'd like some media training on not just Lincoln Riley, but like all coaches. Okay, these are the terms that your fan base doesn't like.
Yes.
Okay, don't use these.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And close is definitely
like close. We're gonna take the word close out of the vocabulary.
Yeah.
Like whether or not you're right is beside the point. People don't want, even if you were close, people don't want to hear it.
No.
Yeah. All right, let's go to a voicemail from Greg.
This is Greg from D.C. Haven't called in a long time, but what was that?
I don't know.
I am so angry. How do we not get him out of bounds there? There should be a second overtime right now. Can't believe what I'm watching. Oh, man, love you guys. Can't believe that we just lost an Alamo Bowl that way. Sad. All right, on to next year.
Thanks for the call, Greg. We love you too. And we love Sean from beautiful Austin, Texas.
We love Sean from beautiful Austin, Texas.
Beautiful Austin, Texas. He said we don't tell him that we love him enough, and we love him.
Yeah.
But no, we love you too, Greg.
Greg sounds exactly like I sounded after that game, by the way.
Minus the big F off, but yes.
Yeah.
Which, of course, leads me to bring up one thing. I love going through your rewatches sometimes, and I need to make drops out of those things, and I did that for 2 things, even though I feel like we could have done more. But we have this one, which could be handy.
I think I just died and went to heaven.
That one's going to be good.
That was about Jaden Richardson's one-handed OBJ style catch at in the corner of the end zone,
which was preceded by this. No. Fantastic. No. So good.
My favorite thing about that play, which literally sent me to heaven, is that as soon as I saw the ball being thrown in that direction, I was just like I did like a little sigh, like, no, because I just didn't want to see another fade. And then he caught it, and I did like a very different, no.
I got to be self-centered here. I think I was the best part of that clip, because I'm like, I think he caught it. No, it's like one of those. I think he fly ball caught. Yeah. Kenny called.
Oh, I can't believe USC lost 4 games. Oh wait, I easily believe that.
It's so good. That's so good. We got to add that to the intro. Let's go to Dan.
Hey, Raina Troy, it's Dan calling from Valley Village. My son and I just walked back to our hotel room from the Alamo Dome, where we witnessed firsthand the utter meltdown of USC. And the fact is that this team that we watched tonight, for some reason, just didn't want it. And TCU wanted it more. You could see it, and seeing it in the stadium, you could actually feel it with the crowd. It was that they wanted it more. It doesn't make the loss any less frustrating. And then even my kid had this. He kept saying to me on the way back to the hotel room. He kept saying this:
Trojans, you really need to know how to tackle. You should have beaten TC Barf.
TC Barf. That's their new name. Anyway, you guys are still the best. I love you. Fight on. He does too.
Thanks, Dan. We love you too.
You really need to know how to tackle.
That will be a mainstay.
Yes.
You really need to know how to tackle.
I think that should be a mainstay drop. I think that needs to get added to the intro.
You really need to know how to tackle.
We will put. That's a good call. I think we do.
Yeah.
This is the intro now. Like, well, why can't we just win a game?
You really need to know how to tackle.
Beautiful.
Oh, I can't believe USC lost 4 games. Oh wait, I easily believe that.
There you go. That's new intro. All in there.
Yep.
All right, we got an email from we got another call from Dan we'll get to in a minute, but email from Tom. Hi, Michael and Alicia. I understand Alicia's points on why she believes the blame falls squarely on Notre Dame for the rivalry ending. From what I've seen in the court of public opinion is that Notre Dame is simply asking for the game scheduling to continue as is, and SC brought this on themselves by blowing up the Pac-12 and going to the Big Ten. Granted, I'm not surprised at this narrative from the RCFB crowd, as USC is always generally the villain there. It can feel like the situation SC finds itself in was self-inflicted. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts / opinions / rebuttals on that line of thinking. Fight on and happy holidays, Tom in the Cayman Islands. P.S. I'm so glad don't have a Reddit account. Otherwise, I'd be too tempted to waste time arguing on the internet.
Arguing on the internet? Who would do that?
Who? Also, Tom, yeah, I believe you. You definitely don't have a Reddit account when you're writing RCFB and mentioning what people are saying there. Like, you absolutely. There's no way you would know the tenor of RCFB without having an account. We fully buy your take here, Tom. But
yes.
Alicia, we got a call from Dan. I want to get to that right now too. Not to take anything away from Tom's email, but both Dan's calls also about Notre Dame.
Okay.
So this way we can talk about both of those things together, not step on each talking point here.
Okay.
Hey,
Oh, wrong one.
hey, Raina Troy, Dan from Valley Village. I want to touch on the Notre Dame SC rivalry ending. And I want to give a maybe slightly different interpretation or thought of what you both are saying. First and foremost, the ending of the rivalry may not be such a bad thing. Let's give credit for what's due. USC has not looked particularly great against Notre Dame. So that blemish that has happened over the last few years may be a good thing that we take off our record, assuming everything remains constant. That's one. Two, what I take really issue with the fact that it seems that Notre Dame was playing 4D chess while SC was playing checkers. If Notre Dame had already had or was in talks to get this automatic entry into the college football playoff at 12, then that means they had these conversations for a longer period of time. And SC was not aware of that or was caught off guard. And that's the fault of SC. I think SC should have been planning their own plan B, not just a team to schedule in place of Notre Dame if that would happen, but they should have had their own, thing to announce that would have been just as good as replacing Notre Dame. And that's second. And third, finally, we live in a world where there's so much constant change in the college football playoff. It could be refreshing to try something new. Anyway, fight on. Love you guys. Beat the Horned Frogs.
That call, of course, was...
We know where that...
We know when that call came from, when that was. Yeah, thanks, Dan. We love you too. Okay, let's go to we'll try to take these point by point. Tom's point about your thoughts about the court of public opinion stuff.
Well, okay,
do you think
I'll save my...
that SC brought this on themselves?
I do think that USC brought them on themselves, and I'll tell you why. It has everything to do with the initial messaging. Because Notre Dame got out front of this, and Notre Dame had their coach and their AD and everybody on their side saying, anytime, anywhere, any place, we want to play USC. They had the messaging from the get-go. USC had Lincoln Riley talking circles around it until he finally said straight up that he wanted to play Notre Dame. USC's been sort of like hemming and hawing about, never just coming straight out and declaratively saying we want to play Notre Dame. From the get-go, USC lost the battle of public opinion. It was already done when that happened. Nothing else that USC could do after the fact was going to flip the narrative. So in that sense, yeah, USC screwed up. Because, and I said this at the time, the moment the first scuttlebutt about the rivalry potentially not being renewed, USC should have been out front talking about how much they wanted to continue the rivalry. Just straight up. But they let Notre Dame control that narrative for like a month before they finally responded with the words that should have been said on day one.
Yeah.
So the USC brought this on themselves thing. That one is a little more eye-rolly for me because USC didn't blow up the Pac-12 to go to the Big Ten. USC went to the Big Ten because the Pac-12 was not making as much money as the Big Ten. USC's goal by going to the Big Ten was simply to make more money. Like, it's very, very simple, and USC is making that money.
But how did they do that? They did that by blowing up the Big
Ten. No. But what I'm saying is USC going to the Big Ten was about making more money for USC. USC has accomplished that goal of making...
Yes.
The Pac-12 blew up because Oregon and Washington decided to leave it. Yeah. USC and UCLA could have left it, and Oregon and Washington could have run the show, and the Pac-12 would have existed.
Yes.
But Oregon and Washington also wanted the money that the Big Ten wanted, and so they also left. So
But those schools don't leave if SC doesn't leave.
No, but they still had a choice to not leave and to keep the Pac-12 alive. In the end, the Pac-12 let itself fall behind by being mismanaged for a decade and more. The Pac-12 ended up in a position where the Big Ten and the SEC were very clearly consolidating all of the power in college football, and schools like Texas and Oklahoma and USC and others were seeing the writing on the wall and saying, screw it, we need to go now before we get left behind. I think people forget that. Like, people don't talk about Texas and Oklahoma killing the Big 12 because the Big 12 decided to keep itself alive, where the Pac-12 decided not to.
And I think this is the biggest indictment of the Pac-12 is that they lost to the Big 12.
Yes. And
they did it while having all of the leverage in their favor. Because, in 2022 or whatever that was, everything was trending towards the Big 12 no longer existing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was trending that way. It looked like that's where it was going. Oklahoma State and all those schools were going to join the Pac-12. Like, that's where it was looking like it was going to be. And the Pac-12 was sort of going to avoid having all of the egg on its face if you can pick up the pieces of the Big 12 as sort of a consolation for losing out on SC and UCLA and eventually Oregon and Washington. Maybe you keep Oregon and Washington if you grab all those other schools.
Yeah.
But they fumbled that bag. At the same time, like, SC has to live with people thinking that they blew up the Big 12 because they left, because that's how it looks.
Well, so I think Sean
only have yourself to blame.
Sean
for that.
from beautiful Austin. Well, I guess this is the question. Sean from beautiful Austin, Texas brings up a really good point. Am I the only one that leans into USC killed the Pac-12? What loyalty does USC owe the Pac-12 at all? Where were the Pac-12 when the NCAA came for us? They were picking our pockets for players. I 100 like USC should not apologize for killing the Pac-12 because USC left the Pac-12 to get the money from the Big Ten and the power from the Big Ten. Yeah. It was not USC's job to keep the Pac-12 alive. The Pac-12 was never like the Big 12 catered to Texas in every single way. Yeah. USC never got that kind of catering from the Pac-12. Did I want the Pac-12 to remain in place? Yes. Did I want USC to remain in the Pac-12? Yes. But like that's I'm 100%. That was sentimentality on my part. So USC wanting to go have the resources that teams in the Big Ten have was a perfectly reasonable approach if you take sentimentality out of it, which you kind of have to do in a multi-billion-dollar business. Mm-hmm. All of that being the case, like, so again, I don't think that, like, this is why I roll my eyes that the USC blew up the Pac-12 and went to the Big Ten, and now they're bitching about it or whatever. It's like, okay, fine, but like the blowing up of the Pac-12 was a much more complicated thing, and the scheduling in the Big 10 doesn't have a lot to do with that, because USC was very likely to ditch Notre Dame at this point anyways because of the way that
I've got an analogy.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how to put this here, because I thought of bringing COVID into it, but I'm not going to do it because I think that complicates the analogy's success here. The Pac-12 was an elderly person who could be placed in hospice, and more so SC put them in hospice, and they had a ventilator to stay alive in hospice, and they unplugged their own ventilator. So yeah. That kind of works. And why did SC put them in hospice? Because they had cancer. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like the thing is that, like, the Pac-12 killed itself, and SC played a role in it, and SC played a role in it because the Pac-12 didn't give everybody the same amount of money that the other conferences did. Everybody acted in their own interest.
Yes.
With the exception of the Pac-12, which screwed it up more than anything. Like,
yes.
I think SC's role in here is understandable, but also you have to understand that you're the bad guy in the court of public opinion.
Oh, yes. So USC is the bad guy in the court of public opinion, and they're responsible for blowing up the Pac-12, and then the Notre Dame thing comes out, and Notre Dame is narratively saying all the right things, and USC is silent. Yeah. USC put this on themselves. I will also say that from the court of public opinion about the game, Notre Dame just wanting to keep the schedule as is, and USC self-inflicting this, I mean, in a lot of ways, yes. Yes, because USC could have kept playing the damn game as is. But USC decided to act in its own interest and want to make it easier on themselves, which is what I've explained, that I understand USC wanting to do that. I think it's reasonable from USC's perspective. to want to do that, and that it was a reasonable ask of Notre Dame. And if Notre Dame really wanted the rivalry to continue, that the rivalry could have continued. Mm-hmm. This is where I turn back to what Dan was saying, because to me, what I don't like about any of this is that the narrative is that USC was trying to dodge Notre Dame because USC kept losing to Notre Dame. And I hate that narrative because it rings too true. It rings way too true, because if USC was in the run that they had with Pete Carroll and beating Notre Dame every year for a decade, then the need to change the scheduling of the Big Ten would not have been something that USC was looking that closely at.
Yeah.
Which is, again, to my point.
Everything always comes back to winning.
Which is what comes back to Dan talking about maybe this is a good thing because USC hasn't looked good against Notre Dame in the past few years, and so not having to do that anymore is going to be a good thing for USC. My whole point on this the entire time, the reason I was so mad at USC the moment that this came out from the beginning of the rumors, not even just the official situation, is if USC looks bad against Notre Dame, then that is a very clear sign that USC is not as good as they need to be. This is why I loved having the Notre Dame game, because it's a litmus test every single year. Mm-hmm. If USC is good, if USC is competitive at the levels that they need to be, then the Notre Dame game is not a detriment ever. It was not a detriment during the Pete Carroll era. Because USC was winning those games, because USC was as good as it was meant to be. So like in that sense, I think like I'm of two minds, where I understand the calculation that USC is doing here. I just really hate it, because it is a cowardly calculation, and it is trying to make things easier on themselves. And I put this. My analogy that I put on Twitter that I think perfectly sums up. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, but perfectly sums up my feelings on this. Mm-hmm. I hiked Havasupai in October. I did the backpacking trip in Havasupai. Thank you. It is a 10-mile hike in and a 10-mile hike out. And if you're going to the campground, you have 3 choices. You can pack in your stuff yourself, which means in my case, like carrying 35 pounds, including my own water and all that kind of stuff, for 10 miles in and then 10 miles out. Mm-hmm. The other option is the Havasupai, the tribe offers, the Havasu tribe offers pack mules. So you can pay to have the pack mules bring your gear down, mm-hmm. and you can make it you can just carry your water the 10 miles and be much less weighed down. It makes your hike a lot easier. The third option you can do is fly in out a helicopter, which means you don't even have to hike. You basically have to hike the 3/4 of a mile from the helicopter pad to the campground. Mm-hmm. Do I understand why people choose to hire the pack mules or why people choose to take the helicopter? Yes, I do. Did I insist upon carrying my own gear for love of the game? No! Because as a backpacker, as somebody who backpacks in under less sort of structured systems, you carry your gear. That's what backpacking is. You carry your own gear. That's part of the challenge and achievement of backpacking. So for me, the challenge and achievement of backpacking means you just carry your own gear and you deal with the misery.
Yeah.
USC decided to use the pack mules, or to ask to use the pack mules.
Yeah.
I get it. Do I look down on them slightly for that? Yes, I do. Do I think I'm superior to them for carrying my own gear? Yes, I do. But in the end, they wanted to hire the pack mules, and when they got to the trailhead, they found out that somebody had signed them up for the helicopter.
But I think it's important to mention here that like all the other teams that they're competing against
are using the pack mules. And somebody on Twitter like made the point of like, yeah, but if it was a race from the trailhead to the campground, which it kind of is, because getting to the campground earlier means you get your choice of the open spots. Yeah. But if it was a race and everybody else was not carrying 30 pounds and you were carrying 30 pounds, and there was a prize at the end, would you still carry the 30 pounds? Again, this is why I think it's perfectly reasonable. I just think that
it's reasonable to want that. It's reasonable to not like it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's free speech.
Yes.
Yeah. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah. You
also are free to hear whatever I have to say as a rebuttal, right? That's how it works.
Yeah.
The other thing, to go to Dan's point about like SC not playing 4D chess because they had to react to Notre Dame getting the handshake agreement
with BYU,
not just BYU, but like with the committee.
Oh yeah.
I will say, like, I don't know that like the idea that was being worked on. I don't know, like. They had that agreement with the BCS. That agreement existed with the BCS. If Notre Dame went 10-2, if they had 10 wins, they were automatically included in the BCS. It was the Notre Dame equivalent of being a conference champion was having 10 wins, and so therefore they would be one of the at-large BCS teams. That was their handshake agreement with the BCS, and that existed, and nobody really had issue with it. So SC could have been aware that was a possibility because there was already precedence of that kind of thing before. Sure. I also think that comes up because they got snubbed, and I don't know that Notre Dame is seeking out or getting that sort of handshake agreement reinstituted in this landscape of college football if it wasn't for the snub and if it wasn't for how reactionary the college football world is about literally everything with the playoff.
Yeah.
So I don't know that SC could have anticipated that thing was going to be a thing. I also think that SC used it as a bargaining chip at the end, whether it be in the court of public opinion or with Notre Dame themselves.
Yeah.
Rather than like not reacting to it quick enough.
Yeah.
But either way, Joe in the chat says SC needs a better publicist. They do. You know who the best publicist is? The win column.
Yep.
If you're winning games, you're not going to get the negative of the doubt, right? Like,
yeah.
The thing about Lincoln Riley too is like the narrative has been out there for literally years that Lincoln Riley ducks competition.
That's the issue.
And it comes from him leaving Oklahoma for SC after it came out that Oklahoma was going to the SEC. So whether or not it was true or not is beside the point.
Well, and then he canceled the Ole Miss series when he got to USC.
Yes.
It's just the narrative is working against Riley very much.
There's a, like, I think there was valid reason for him to go to SC. I think there's valid reason for him to not do the Ole Miss game.
Well, and
I think there was valid reason for the Notre Dame
the
thing.
LSU
But
game.
Yes, but when you stack all these things on top of each other, and you're
not winning.
You're not winning. The court of public opinion is going to be the most cynical thing possible, and so no one's going to back you up there.
Yes.
And so you just have to accept that. So if you want a better publicist, win, because that's the best publicist in the world is the win column. So win games.
Which is again what I'm sort of getting at with everything around the Notre Dame game. It's like all of USC's troubles around the Notre Dame game would not be here if USC won more often.
Yeah.
And USC not winning more often in this part of the series, because USC has won often plenty of times over the course of the series. The series has gone back and forth. It usually is one team dominating it for a stretch and then the other team not.
Mm-hmm.
And then it eventually flips back, which is why I'm kind of also frustrated that these decisions are being made when USC is in the middle of a sort of losing streak where traditionally the rivalry flips and, USC is just a couple away from flipping it that way. So I don't know. It's all just. Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. I think my overriding frustration here is that I think USC is in the right in a lot of different areas while also being in the wrong. Because I will admit straight up, I do believe that the primary driver of all of this is Lincoln Riley wanting the path to his success being as smooth as possible. I do think that is the case. Yeah. And that means he's willing to, I guarantee you he'll be willing to schedule an FCS team. He's willing to not have to play this rivalry that's annoying. He's willing to put USC in a scheduling position where they only play G5s and weak teams out of conference. He's willing to do all of those things because that's what he wants. He wants the path to be as smooth as possible. And I don't particularly respect that. So that's where I'm at.
But again, that's
not unreasonable. That's the meta.
That's the meta.
That's how Ole Miss got into the playoff.
Yes, that's what the SEC. I'm reluctant to say that's what the SEC does, but it is because of the 8 games thing. The SEC has only played 8 conference games, and they're reluctant to go to 9 because Kirby Smart literally said if we go to 9, there's going to be 7 more conference losses in the league,
which is kind of what we were saying the whole time in the Pac-12.
Well,
and the Big
that's
10.
what everyone else is doing, jackass. You know what I mean? But the SEC
gamed the system and
gamed the system in part because they get the cake and eat it too because they've kept all the ACC rivals, Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Kentucky, Louisville.
Yeah, but how long do those survive? The moment that teams like Georgia play a really tough schedule, and then
it's a very good question. It's also, do those things keep surviving if Georgia was losing to Georgia Tech every year?
Well, Florida.
I mean, South Carolina loses to Clemson fairly often, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Or Florida State. Florida is in the middle of a rebuild. They're trying to find the right guy to lead them to the promised land. Whatever. Is it in Florida's best interest to play Florida State every year? It isn't. They should get rid of that game, except the rivalries matter, and you should keep the rivalries because they matter, and you should figure out how to win those games instead of deciding it's inconvenient, so let's just go away.
But it's less of an issue if you're only playing 8 conference games.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's going to be more of an issue now. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally think that you should the invisible hand, if you will, is pushing you to make the path as easy as you can and straight as you can to get into the playoff. Doesn't mean that you have to like it. Doesn't mean that you have to respect it, all that stuff. Doesn't mean that the court of opinion will back you. Any of those things. Which means
and that's why
it all just comes down to winning. If you win games, then who cares what the court of public opinion says?
That's where I'm at, too, is that, I do not care what the court of public opinion thinks about USC on this. I care what I think about USC on this. Sure. And like I said, I care that I look at this, I look at the USC that is currently in place, and I care that I look at it and say, this USC...
Hold on, do you say this?
No! No, I am not as willing. If people wanted to call the Pete Carroll era USC soft, I would draw my weapon and charge at them because I knew for a fact USC wasn't soft. When people say that USC is soft now, I sit back and I stay out of it because I don't know that I fully believe that they aren't.
And again, even if they aren't, there's not a lot of tangible evidence to argue your case.
Yes. Yeah.
In part because win column kind of things and giving up 300 yards to Notre Dame and not wanting to play Notre Dame. All those things. Like you said, I think SC has a lot of valid reasons to do the things that they're doing. And I think that they are justified to do a lot of the things that they've done. Doesn't mean that you have to like it. Doesn't mean that I have to like it. You have to like it. Anybody has to like it. No. The court of public opinion has to like it. Bones in the chat says public opinion shifted on Notre Dame when they complained about missing the playoffs, then bailed in their bowl game, and even more when it came out that they had a side deal with CFP. Yes, Notre Dame's public opinion is wild.
Notre Dame is also the villain here.
Yes.
Make no mistake.
This is why I think it's ridiculous that Notre Dame fans are blaming SC and SC fans, a lot of are blaming Notre Dame. Like, the reality is, if this was an "Am I the asshole" situation, it's an it's everybody sucks.
Everybody sucks here. Yeah.
Everybody sucks. Like, you're both to blame for why the rivalry doesn't exist. You're both ducking each other. So stop pretending that you are holier than the other one. You're both ducking each other. So let's get over that part of it. Mm-hmm. Also, you are both evil empires in the history of college football.
Yes.
So the court of public opinion is not going to back your side anyways. And Notre Dame, especially their court of public opinion stuff the last month, is insane to me, because when they got snubbed from the playoff, they were in the sympathetic victim seat. People would have been on their side. Nobody really thought that they should not be in the playoff.
There would have been a much bigger conversation about Alabama getting blown out by Indiana and Notre Dame if Notre Dame hadn't screwed things up.
Yeah, they were, I think at the time you can even say that, like, people like Marcus Freeman, like, Notre Dame is likable from the national perspective. Like, Notre Dame just got snubbed. Poor little Notre Dame. And then all of a sudden they whined about it to a point of, like, no, F you. Like, what are you quitting your bowl game and then bitching about ESPN's ratings and doing all these things,
trying
and
to pound their chest together and say that they're going to cost ESPN $50 million, and then after the Pop-Tarts Bowl airs, it comes out that the Pop-Tarts Bowl was all ESPN ratings were up for the bowl season. The Pop-Tarts Bowl was the top rated non-CFP bowl game and outrated multiple CFP games, and the CFP games themselves are all up to massive numbers. Like, you tried to act like you were getting one over on ESPN, who is laughing all the way to the bank.
But as if it wouldn't have been hilarious if Father what's a can't use Siobhan here. What's a good Irish name?
Well, you could just say Father Moreau, who founded Holy Cross. Father Patrick. There.
Father Patrick is, like, in a very either a thick Boston accent or an Irish accent, whatever it is, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to butcher it. Being like, "Thank you for coming. Remember, we have donuts in the hall, and also be sure to turn into the Pop-Tart Bowl." to watch our Fighting Irish play. Like, wouldn't that would have been hilarious? The juxtaposition of Notre Dame and Pop-Tarts.
Yes.
Would have been great. But alas.
You really know how to tackle.
Yeah. And alas.
I think I just died and went to heaven.
Yeah. All right. We're going to end there. We've been on for over 2 hours. Oh, says Father John Misty. That works too.
We've got a couple more.
Shoot, we have more emails.
Yeah, and these ones won't take a long time. So.
Tony says, Michael, Alicia, this is Tony from the NorPA. Just want to wish both of you and your families a happy and safe New Year. Fight on. Thank you, Tony. We wish that right back to you. We wish you had a happy and safe New Year. Hopefully you didn't. Well, you're from the NorPA, so hopefully you didn't go to the Brooklyn Bridge. Do you know about that?
I keep hearing a reference to it, and I realize I don't know what it was.
You're when we look at my TikToks tonight, you're gonna enjoy them. I've got a bunch of them.
Okay.
Brooklyn Bridge stuff is fantastic. Max says, Michael and Alicia, thanks for putting out some of the best content for SC football. My wife and me enjoyed tuning in to all of the watch-along streams during the season. This loss sucks and just reinforces all the views we have of the coaching staff. Can't imagine their roster will be a lesser. Can't imagine there will be a lesser hot seat in college football than Lincoln Riley's. 3rd and 20 is going to be drilled into my mind until the start of next season. Sincerely, Mac. 3rd and 20.
Yeah, thank you, Mac. Thank you for tuning in and for the really nice email. But yes, I close my eyes and have nightmares, and 3rd and 20 is overlaid over all of them.
Yeah. What was that Packers 4th and 26 with the Eagles? Remember that? Wasn't that Freddie Mitchell? UCLA legend.
I don't remember this.
It's before your time.
I'm sure it happened.
Before your time. All right. We'll be back next Monday, I guess, at 4:00. Next Monday.
What time did you say we were eating? At 4?
Yes, at 4. Next Monday at 4. It won't be 4:15 because hopefully we won't have technical issues.
Yeah.
that delay us a little bit. Which is why we went super long, 2 hours today. So enjoy that. We'll be back. You know how to reach us. As always, we appreciate you. Until next time. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.